Hola y bienvenidos a Fresno State Focus. Yo soy Jocelyn Clark.
Y yo soy Brianda Lemus. Gracias por acompañarnos en nuestro último show. Muchas personas tienen en realización de películas, entrevistas o editar en cualquier momento de producción, pero también es una habilidad que puede ser cara de aprender, sea en una escuela técnica o en un curso. Déjame mostrarles un lugar que puede ser rentable para muchas personas.
Talking into the camera and then switching back and forth.
Bienvenidos al Centro de Colaboración de Acceso a los Medios Comunitarios, CMAC. Desde el rodaje hasta la edición y la creación, CMAC lo ofrece todo.
CMAC es un lugar para ir si tienes talento creativo, desarrollar tu talento creativo o hacer videos y básicamente como crear medios electrónicos para comunicar a la comunidad qué usted está haciendo o simplemente algo que te hace feliz.
Terry Duff ha sido parte de CMAC desde el 2003 cuando este edificio nomás era una idea. CMAC es una organización sin fines de lucro para la comunidad de Fresno y todo el Valle Central. Este es un lugar donde se aprende y se puede colaborar uno con otros para sus creativos. Ninguna idea aquí es mala.
Veo el éxito en cualquier persona que ha venido y ha comenzado desde cero sin saber cómo usar una cámara, micrófono o cualquier tipo de tecnología de medios para continuar y producir su propio contenido. Esa satisfacción de hacer algo y compartir su historia con el mundo o idea con la comunidad, creo que eso es parte de nuestro éxito.
Natalia Neg es la gerente de marketing y desarrollo en CMAC y profesora aquí en Fresno State. Como programas de educación, entretenimiento, información del gobierno y nuestro noticiero de Fresno State Focus, CMAC lo transmite todo. CMAC tiene una tarifa anual para convertirse en miembros. Para un individual es $50 y para estudiantes de Fresno State es $25 por año. Gracias CMAC por darnos una plataforma por transmitir noticias. Para más información sobre el edificio puedes visitar su sitio web cmac.tv.com.
Cuando entra el invierno, los rancheros podan sus huertas para mejorar la producción para la próxima temporada. Jasmine Pichardo nos explica cómo una pequeña empresa ayuda a los agricultores en Fresno.
El propietario de una pequeña empresa, Rafael Arredondo, está ayudando a los agricultores a mantener los límites de sus árboles para que no crezcan demasiado entre sí.
Tengo 40 años trabajando en agricultura y pues después de tantos años decidí comenzar mi propio negocio. Y lo que hacemos es tapping and hedging, que es como apodar los árboles de almendra, de naranja, de durazno y también cherries, que viene siendo cerezas, y los granadas.
Cuando Rafael poda los árboles, ayuda a los agricultores a obtener más producción de frutas durante el próximo año. También ayuda a que los otros tractores ingresen a los campos con facilidad.
Eso es algo que los rancheros deciden qué es lo que quieren, cuántos pies, tanto arriba como en medio o en los lados.
REM Topping y Hedging es una compañía latina situada en el Valle Central que está haciendo lo mejor posible para ayudar a los rancheros, podando sus huertas. Yo soy Jasmine Pichardo con tu Fresno State Focus.
Gracias, Jasmine. Con toda esta práctica ya me dio hambre. Qué bueno que los agricultores puedan extender su producción para el próximo año. Para más información sobre el empresario Redondo, siga el sitio web.
En estos últimos meses la inflación ha subido bastantemente. Eso no significa que no va a haber regalos, significa que familias buscarán maneras en ahorrar dinero comparados a otros años. Vamos a ver cómo familias en Fresno planean celebrar la Navidad. Cintia Carranza nos muestra.
El dólar ha perdido su valor por un 4%. Vamos a ver qué piensa Leticia Ojeda mientras busca regalos en el mall de Fashion Fair.
Difícil hoy este año, a los otros años atrás era un poco más pues tenía un poquito más uno de dinero, pero ahora no, ahora está más difícil para ganar el dinero.
Claro, la Navidad no se trata de posesiones materiales, se trata de pasar tiempo con la familia para compartir el amor. Muchos han pensado, como Daniel Villamizar, en dar regalos sentimentales, porque son más personales.
Cosa es que con inflación y todo, se subió bastante y todavía con Black Friday y todas las tratas que tienen, todavía está muy carísimo. Yo creo que más que nada voy a hacer regalos de mano, más que algo que está aquí en una tiendita.
Nuestros bolsillos sentirán la diferencia con un presupuesto más bajo, pero hay que tener una perspectiva positiva, como Noé Martínez la tiene.
Sentimos ese efecto, ese impacto en nuestra economía, pero gracias a Dios estamos bendecidos y hemos podido salir adelante este año.
Esperemos que aunque tenemos circunstancias difíciles con los precios elevados, que esta Navidad todavía sea una Navidad feliz y muy saludable y pasarla con la familia, con mucho amor. En Fresno, Cintia Carranza para Fresno State Focus.
Para esta Navidad se recomienda tener un presupuesto. Mi presupuesto para mi familia va a ser no más de $30, porque lo más importante es que todos estemos juntos.
El pasado jueves 24 de noviembre fue el Día de Acción de Gracias. Estudiantes se reunieron con sus familias para celebrar el Día de Acción de Gracias. Aunque todavía no hay muchos países latinos que celebran el día, para algunos estudiantes latinos esta celebración está siendo parte de sus vidas y cultura latinoamericana. Acción de Gracias es una celebración americana, pero para aquellos que nacieron o se mudaron a los Estados Unidos se está volviendo parte de su cultura latina. Para este año, Josué Miranda y su familia no comieron pavo, en cambio, comieron menudo con pollo y vegetales.
Porque cuando nosotros celebramos la Acción de Gracias, toda la familia trae su propia comida. Podría haber pavo un día y luego, para el próximo año, podría haber específicamente tamales solamente. Dependiendo de lo que la gente traiga.
Este año Miranda está agradecido por su familia, salud y que ya está empezando su último año de universidad. En cambio, Cintia Carranza disfrutó mucho del pavo que preparó su mamá, además de la compañía de su familia y su hermano que no lo veía hace tiempo ya que él vive en Porterville.
Nos las pasamos muy bien, estuve con mi familia, comimos mucha comida y tomamos muchas fotos.
Carranza está agradecida por tener salud y toda su familia junta. Pero también hay estudiantes como Mariah Mendoza, que celebró el Día de Acción de Gracias 3 veces este año. Lo celebró junto con su pareja, familia y amigos. Mi prometido hizo macarrones con queso porque no servían macarrones con queso, realmente bueno. Estuve comiendo eso durante unos 3 días, no pude superar el sabor, todos los sabores eran simplemente perfectos. Mendoza está agradecida de tener a su prometido parte de su vida, además de su familia. El Día de Acción de Gracias se está volviendo parte de algunos países latinos, agregando la cultura americana a la latina. El año pasado, el gobierno de Costa Rica, mi país natal, agregó el Día de Acción de Gracias al calendario de celebraciones.
Mi nombre es Brianda Lemus y les tengo su enfoque de tiempo. Empezamos con un look afuera de nuestro negocio. Nuestro edificio de negocio, miramos que los árboles ya están cambiando de color, las hojas están cayendo, perfecto para el mes que estamos entrando. Miramos a nuestro satélite nacional, miramos mucha lluvia y nieve arriba en Washington. A lo mejor ojalá que caiga para abajo a California. Nuestro satélite de California se mira muy claro, pero como ven, la lluvia todavía sigue y viene. Nuestros altos de hoy empezamos en Stockton con 61, bajando a Coalinga a 64, terminando en Porosville a 74 también. Nuestros bajos, el más bajo, Shaver Lake 30, subiendo a Fresno con 45 y a Stockton con 43. Nuestra calidad de aire moderado para muchos de nosotros, pero para los que sí tienen alergia o cualquier tipo de asma, tengan mucha precaución cuando estén afuera. nuestro exitente perspectiva. Mañana sí va a llover, so agarren sus chalecos. Terminando la semana también con lluvia el domingo y entrando a la semana con aires nublados. Viéndolemos con su tiempo de temporada.
Próximamente en Fresno State Focus, pasamos a las noticias en inglés. Coming up on Fresno State Focus, we will move into the English newscast. We will see how Fresno State Focus students feel about graduating. All that when we come back.
Here in the valley, our colors are blue and our waves are red. Bulldog born and bulldog bred. Generations linked forever by traditions that have stood the test of time. Inside our stadiums, we are one. This is our valley, and this year, we're doing it for you.
At Fresno State, being bold means committing to something greater than yourself. It's learning by doing and nurturing leaders to advance our shared future. It's using research to create a better life for those around us and healing those who need us most. These are our stories, because at Fresno State, bold begins here.
Here in the valley, our colors are blue and our waves are red. Bulldog born and bulldog bred. Generations linked forever by traditions that have stood the test of time. Inside our stadiums, we are one. This is our valley, and this year, we're doing it for you.
Welcome back to Fresno State Focus. I'm Sydney Morgan.
And I'm Jared Hickman. Thanks for joining us today.
The end of the semester is near, which means some of us Fresno State students are in our last semester. Holden Wheeler talked to some you may recognize about their experiences on Fresno State Focus and what's to come post-graduation.
Fresno State Focus meets twice a week. Mondays are spent in Speech Arts 164 and Wednesdays for live shows are in the TV studio room 172. With the fall semester coming to a close, we'll see some familiar faces graduate and move into their fields, taking their experience of live news to newsrooms across the country.
It taught me I don't want to be an anchor, and I love the producing part. So I can practice more even to help other classmates to produce. So I feel like it gives you a perspective of what you want to do after you graduate, because that is the most important part.
Experience is aplenty in Fresno State Focus. Doing live interviews, weather, or being an anchor, it helps students realize their dreams of being on camera are possible.
So coming in here, I was nervous to find out what if I really don't belong in front of the camera. So I think finding my own persona on who I can be in front of the camera was something I was nervous about, but taking this class has helped me in many different ways to get out of my comfort zone and do stuff that I didn't think I'd be even comfortable doing.
Outside of the work experience of editing videos on Premiere Pro or writing scripts on Rundown Creator, sometimes it's the people you meet and the relationships built that are held the closest.
I'm definitely going to miss the people in Fresno State Focus and the professors because you kind of build a family. But I am definitely excited for the future and the next steps.
The semester flew by without COVID being an issue, and the shows are ending for this semester. As students move on, until the next wave, Holden Wheeler, Fresno State Focus.
Thanks to the experiences I made in this class, I have solidified a morning producer position post-graduation, which for me will be this December.
For the many students returning in the spring, classes are filling up quickly, but for others, not quickly enough. The school does not provide funding for courses with fewer than 7 students, leaving several courses at risk of being canceled. Many of these classes are requirements for certificates, and most of these classes are not offered every semester.
I'm supposed to graduate next semester, so if my human resources class is canceled, I probably can't get my certificate.
Right now, meteorology and seminar and human resource management are in danger of being canceled because of low enrollment.
The Fresno State Student Health Center has a new initiative, Kiss Kits. Students can get these KISS kits through a Google form online. After completing the form, students create a 6-digit code that can be used to pick up their KISS kit at the health center. The code is formed using first and last initials, month, and date of birth.
And then we decided to switch to this because a graduate and undergraduate student decided to re-examine how people were getting their internal and external condoms. And they did a survey seeing what people would like and if they were accessible. And 50% of students said it wasn't accessible. And what they would like to see is what we have got here at the KISS kit now, so people can get it personalized and get something a little bit more discreet.
For comparison, these are the packs that can be found in the health center waiting area and Pause and Go stories. This is what comes in the new KISS kits, or whatever you choose, all of which can be accessed by using this QR code. Now let's go to Mariah Mendoza for a look at international news.
Monkeypox will be replaced with the word Mpox. The World Health Organization hopes that people will adopt the term Mpox in its communications and encourages others to follow these recommendations to minimize any ongoing negative impact of the current name. They are planning to destigmatize the virus that gained a foothold in the United States. DoorDash is planning to lay off 1,250 corporate employees. The delivery app CEO wasn't expecting the team to grow so quickly during the pandemic. Like other tech companies, DoorDash experienced a pandemic boom as more people ordered online and shied away from stores and restaurants. A wave of layoffs spread throughout the tech industry as companies react to rising inflation looming, recession fears, and a shift in pandemic demand. In Buffalo, New York, 19-year-old Peyton Gendron pleaded guilty to murder charges driven by hate. Gendron opened fire at a New York supermarket in May with an illegally purchased semi-automatic rifle that he modified. 10 people died. They were all black. 3 people were hurt. The entire attack lasted 2 minutes, but the planning took several months. He even went as far as doing a Google search of the zip code in New York State that had the highest concentration of African Americans.
This was a very difficult morning for them, and as I shared with Attorney Connors and Attorney Barnard as we sat in that courtroom, it was just gut-wrenching. And it made you angry all over again.
The Attorney General will decide at a later date on whether to seek the death penalty, according to the Justice Department.
Coming up on Fresno State Focus, we will talk to a reporter at the Collegian who helps us get ready for the big Mountain West Championship game this weekend against Boise State.
And we learned why the Southern Sierra Miwok Nation is still working to earn federal recognition for their tribe.
Here in the valley, our colors are blue and our waves are red. Bulldog born and bulldog bred. Generations linked forever by traditions that have stood the test of time. Inside our stadiums, we are one. This is our valley, and this year, we're doing it for you.
At Fresno State, being bold means committing to something greater than yourself. It's learning by doing and nurturing leaders to advance our shared future. It's using research to create a better life for those around us and healing those who need us most. These are our stories, because at Fresno State, bold begins here.
Football season is nearing the end with conference championships beginning this weekend. The Bulldogs are back in the Mountain West Championship for the first time since 2018. Joining me today to talk about Bulldog football and the Mountain West title game this weekend is Al Scott, a sports reporter for the Collegian. Thanks for joining me, Al.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Let's start with how the Bulldogs got here. How were the Bulldogs able to turn their season around from a grueling 1-4 start to 8-4 and winning the West Division?
Well, under head coach Jeff Tedford, the team has rallied back. They had a lot of injuries going on early on in the season, and with the return of Jake Hayner and Evan Williams, those senior captains, the Bulldogs have rallied back with 7 straight consecutive victories.
All right. And this game coming up, they played each other earlier in the season. Besides it being for the conference title, how is it different than when they played each other earlier this season?
Well, for one, the return of Williams and Hayner has been a huge impact, and without them in their first game earlier this year, that was a huge deterrent for the Bulldogs.
All right. And are there any key injuries going into this game? I've heard David Perales is still questionable heading into Saturday.
Yeah, David Perales is day-to-day for the Bulldogs. Boise State is also facing a barrage of injuries on their defensive side. That will make this game very interesting.
All right. And going beyond this game, what's the future for the football team looking like after our seniors graduate?
Well, the offense for the Bulldogs is very senior-heavy with Jake Hayner, Jalen Moreno-Cropper, Jordan Mims, Nico Remigio. There's a lot of seniors graduating this year, so for the Bulldogs, this Mountain West Championship game is going to mean a lot for them going forward.
All right, Al, well, that's all the time we have. Thank you for showing us what you know and telling us about what to expect for this game Saturday and what else to expect going into next year.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Now let's see who your Bulldog athletes face up against this week.
Thursday, the women's basketball team will be heading up to Oregon to face Portland State. Tip-off at 6. Saturday, as Jared and I were just talking about, football travels to play Boise State in the Mountain West Championship game. Kickoff at 1. Women's basketball will be in Sacramento to face Sac State. Game time at 2. At 6, men's basketball will be down south, taking on UC Irvine. That will wrap up the week for your Bulldog athletes, and as always, go Dogs. 4 years later, the World Cup is back. Games have been taking place the past couple of weeks. This is always an exciting time as people from around the world unite together to enjoy the game of soccer, or football, depending on where you live.
I love watching the World Cup because it's the biggest event, and it happens every 4 years, and it's like the one time where the whole globe really comes together, and that's something special that happens with sports, you know.
The World Cup is currently being hosted in Qatar, and it has 8 groups, 4 teams in each. The lead in each are Group A, Netherlands, B, England, C, Argentina, D, France, E, Spain, F, Croatia, G, Brazil, and H, Portugal. Games will continue as the quarterfinal will begin December 9th.
Have you heard of the new city shelter near Fresno Yosemite International Airport? I'll show you around the shelter and where you can find it.
The distant sound of dogs barking means you're in the right place. Fresno Humane Animal Services is the city shelter here in Fresno, and it has recently opened up back in July of this year, so it's fairly new. Meet Rogue. She is one of 350 dogs at the city shelter. This lovable, fun 2-year-old dog is ready for adoption like many of her furry friends. Many of the animals there are either strays or lost dogs that have been taken in by the shelter.
An intake facility of all stray animals within the city limits of Fresno, so it gives them a safe place to come, and so their owners can find them and reclaim them and take them home.
Susie Martino is the behavior coordinator at the city shelter, where she and her team bring out every dog daily for playgroup. This allows them to get to know each dog and be able to place them in the appropriate home.
Take my dog Rosie, for example. Not exactly adopted from the same shelter, but adopted nonetheless. And right now, it feels like we found the perfect dog for our family.
Dogs come in all different types of sizes, colors, and personalities. The dog foster coordinator explained why it's a wonderful feeling to be able to interact with all of the dogs in the shelter.
It's really hard to not go into each individual kennel and pet every single dog that you walk by, especially when sometimes they're just calling your name with their eyes or with just their aura. I don't really know how to explain it.
You can go to their website at fresnohumane.org to learn more about the shelter, how to adopt and return or find lost pets.
With winter break right around the corner and the Yosemite reservation system over, you may be planning a trip to our national park. While today it's mostly filled with tourists, the valley used to be home to the Southern Sierra Miwok Nation. Miranda Adams has more.
This is a medicine dance of the Southern Sierra Miwok Nation.
Every time you hear that drum beat and it hits really hard, and you see the dancers raise their fan, it's just giving a blessing for whatever you're dancing for.
Today, many dance to keep tradition and culture alive.
The jingle part is actually the cover of tobacco lids rolled up, and turning it into dance and song is like reclaiming the cultural ways that were stolen from us.
Right now I'm standing in Yosemite National Park, where less than a lifetime ago, many Native families were forced from their homes. And still today, over 50 years later, many tribes are still looking for recognition, including the Southern Sierra Miwok Nation.
They're saying that we aren't a modern, distinct community. And I mean, if you look here today, that's a pretty ridiculous claim.
A lack of federal recognition prevents the tribe from accessing several programs, making it increasingly difficult to preserve their culture and gain official acknowledgement.
The tribe is over 800 members, but a lot of them have had to move away because their needs aren't getting met here.
In Mariposa, Miranda Adams, Fresno State Focus.
You can learn more about the Southern Sierra Miwok Nation by visiting them online at southernsierramiwoknation.org.
This Friday, the Phoebe Conley Art Gallery will hold a student art show. It is done annually for all art students and those who took an art course during the year 2022. There will be different types of art: painting, drawing, sculpture, photography, animation, graphic design, and more. 2 judges not from Fresno State will choose the best 3 artworks from each department. Winners will receive gift cards and a certificate for best art.
Newest award, the President's Showcase Award. President and his son-in-law will come in, and his wife will both come in and select award for that particular. There's actually usually 3 awards, 2 to 3, for that particular award, and that artwork gets hung inside the university house.
This Friday, there will be a reception held for the opening and the awards results at 5 p.m. The show will be open till next Friday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Admission is free and open to the public. Guest parking is $5.
Finally, the holiday season is here. These decorated houses along Christmas Tree Lane are getting all decked out. Opening night is tomorrow. The tradition goes back to 100 years. This is all along North Vanderness Boulevard in the Fig Garden area. The neighborhood becomes a one-way street lined up with hundreds of trees and homes all decked out for the holidays. Visitors can drive Sundays through Thursdays from 6 to 10 p.m. or Fridays and Saturdays from 6 to 11. Due to COVID-19, unfortunately, there will be no walk nights this year.
Are you going to try going down to Christmas Tree Lane this year?
I'm going to try and hit it before I leave because I graduate in December, but you'll still be here, right?
Right. Yeah, I will be. It's going to be the same as walking around like I did before the pandemic, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, it'll be warmer for sure.
And that does it for us.
Not only is our newscast over, so is our semester.
Happy graduation, Sydney, Mariah, Jocelyn, and Holden. And
Merry Christmas!
And go Dogs!